And before we tackle those, we have a question and a topic for, and that's why Denny's here, to go over the Sewell contract that we have as it relates to some items that we've discussed in the past. So if you folks don't mind, we'd like to try and tackle that. It should only take 5 to 10 minutes or something. Hopefully, then we can get right into yours and get you out of here, okay? So I had brought to Denny's attention an older letter that I had found from Sewell that was initially addressed to Rich Baker that had a project cost for updating the map. And I shared it with Denny, who also had a newer version of that letter, one that was signed with a more recent date. So the only difference was the cost was $400, 300 and change difference. But what I found interesting in that letter was this, and I thought you all might be very interested in this, is that we're talking about what we expected from Sewell originally, which was for them to update the data layers. And the letter that came back in each of these dated letters says, once the data layers have been converted, a plotting routine will be prepared to recreate the town's zoning map. While the map may look slightly different in appearance, all efforts will be made to provide a map similar to that which the town has been using and with which it is familiar. To me, that means accuracy of the outcome, the output map would be at least equal to what we had before. So I wanted to just sort of set the stage with that based on our expectations. It may also mean some other things to you all. When we read this further, it says, upon completion of the data format conversion, Sewell will deliver the following: 2 copies of the zoning map in color, size 36 by 48, and 1 PDF file in the zoning map. So those are specific items, but at least we set the stage with expectations and then some specific outcomes. Hey, Denny.
Right. So the existing contract agreement that we signed specifies exactly the same thing. So when I went, and I tried to forward this to everyone, and Craig, I think you were off the list when you found out your name wasn't on it. And you forwarded it to him.
Yeah.
But I was using an old planning board, but that's why your name was left off. I had Steve Foster on that. I just didn't check it, probably used it. But you went through and talked to Mary McDonald, as I understood it, and came back, and I tried to get her to understand that we weren't satisfied with what the map was. She said, well, I need to know what you aren't satisfied with. And I said, well, Richard talked to you, Ms. Baker. And she said, well, I need to see the list. But you had put together a list, and the one thing in there that it seemed to me she hadn't done based on what you were asking for. There's a bunch of stuff you were asking for, 5 or 6 different things. But it says, item 4, significant areas are shown as RP districts that should be LR districts and vice versa. And then you say, no, item 4 should have been covered in the original agreement.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that I have to get out of it, plus the 2 copies and the PDF file. So that I can go forward with. This other stuff is what we need to get done by future.
I think you're right there, because the other stuff
it's future
stuff that was not related to the
right.
contract.
So that's what I need to know. That's what I need. I want to make sure if there's any other additional stuff. I'll work out the agreement with Mary. It's just that I want to make sure that that is the only thing that she didn't, besides the 2 maps of the PDF files. The other question is, what was your understanding originally when it comes to who owns the digital files?
I don't know if I have an understanding. That issue didn't come up in our talking.
Okay.
But,
because I know that the parcel maps, they own the digital files. We only get the copies of the maps. We don't get the digital.
That's a lot. That's particularly peculiar. Usually, in
Well, that's
business,
what
you own your own data.
Yeah.
Not the contractor doesn't own the
Well,
data.
I don't know what contract was signed with that parcel map. I'll have to talk to you.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know, but I mean, in this case,
I don't disagree.
I sure hope the town owns the data layers.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with you, but,
Yeah.
Right.
but that's, I knew with the parcel map, they essentially, we can't go
I
and
mean,
say.
that
"You
should
want
be
those files."
specified. There should be no ambiguity about that.
So Denny, first of all, thank you for your time tonight to go over
Yeah,
this and
right.
get clarification on this. Thank you for bringing it to Sewell's attention. We
Oh,
will
no,
benefit.
That's not a problem.
And we will really benefit with the expected outcome and with what we've outlined basically as a task list. And make sure, I want to make sure the board knows that you received the estimate
Right.
based on those identified items.
Right, based on what Richard, I can read, I forwarded this to you guys too, I think. It says, we have reviewed the revisions discussed with Rich and can make the changes, prepare a final hard copy map and map PDFs for the current map as well as the final revised map. Cost will be based on time and materials not to exceed $2,200. I put $2,500 in the budget, just in case, in your budget for this purpose.
So they're saying they will do the other things.
Well, that's what the letter seems to indicate, what you talked to her about, which I assume is the other things.
I left a copy of that with them.
Yeah, so there you go.
And that's when I left it, this is back in the early days. She
Well,
got
this is
back
back
to you
in
like the next day or so and said,
in November,
we don't have the money for that.
this spring. I think, so.
Do we know if they completed the data set conversion? Because I've never heard that they have.
That's a fair question to ask. Yeah.
I mean, that's step number one. Did they even do it?
I'm thinking we're led to believe that they have, but it's always good to verify.
But it's hard to know when the only evidence we have of their
It's the map.
is the map, which was entirely wrong.
Well, here's what it says, is that they're gonna update all of the digital work. So to be able to be used with ArcView, or ArcGIS, I should say, not ArcView. So my assumption would be that in order to complete that work, they would have had to have done it.
It'd be good to ask that question.
No, I got it.
Yeah. That'd be great. So thank you very much
Okay, so
for.
you're all set for your budget. I don't think you need any more. You're paying him way too much.
Thank God we have him.
I thought he did it for free.
No, he was getting it off the admin budget for a while until I caught it.
So let's talk about that for a minute though, because I'm not convinced that we are all set. You come up with a figure of $2,500.
I didn't come up with that figure, she did.
All right, or what? For
Well,
what for deliverables?
well,
I mean,
this
is it the list that this board came up with?
this is what I understood from Rich. We have reviewed the revisions discussed with Rich, which I assume are those items that you actually went and talked about, right? And can make the changes, prepare a final hard copy map and map PDFs for the current map as well as that of the revised map. Costs will be based on time and materials not to exceed $2,200.
Now, what isn't covered there, in fact, when what I went to her with was to come up with a map for the last town meeting. In other words, convert the old map into new format or whatever and produce what we had. But the list that I gave was do not change any resource protection,
Yeah, that's what you noted.
because we haven't, well, I was operating on the assumption that basically we hadn't concluded about what areas were gonna be resource
Yeah, we
protection and
discussed
stuff. So I said, don't do anything there. But other than that, it was, give us a map that is essentially an upgrade or whatever of our existing map.
Okay. That's for the current contract that we thought we were gonna get, but we didn't.
Basically, it was getting us to where
We are, but with a new data set, other than digital files.
Yes.
So then, everything else is above and beyond that. Okay.
So in terms of getting the maps aligned with the ordinance, so that they're all up to date to the same point in time, we as a board still need to discuss which resource protection, or wetlands are gonna go out, which wetlands that Inland Fish and Wildlife has mapped may come in or not, depending on what we decide. And what else was on your list? That
Well,
we
here they are.
discussed at our last meeting.
You want me to read the list?
Oh, is that the list that you're working on?
That's one, yeah. Remove redistricting on wetlands less than 10 acres.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Remove designations for emergent forested and shrub wetlands to simplify map. Show only the 250 foot limited residential, limited commercial, general development, and resource protection districts, and the 75-foot stream protection district. Then the item 4, which would be significant areas are shown as the RP districts, that should be LR districts, et cetera. That's the one that should be done under the current contract. Then the next one is only 4 wetlands in Belgrade remain moderate or high value. Remove RP from those wetlands that are no longer high or moderate value, but keep portions that will be RP for resource protected for other reasons, forest wetlands, steep slopes, et cetera. 6, add no new resource areas. So I assume that that's all that you want.
So, for now, because once we've just made a decision about the, which wetlands come out of resource protection, and which, if any, wetlands go into resource protection, we have to revise the map yet again, and we have to go back to the voters.
Well, that may be, but that's for another time.
Right, yeah, I'm just laying this out in terms of the board's agenda, because I don't know if we have to bring this to the voters.
No, I don't think this.
Well, the last one we would, if we're taking things out of resource protection,
Well, that's,
the wetlands are no longer high value. If that's on this.
That's part of the specs.
yeah, but this isn't part of the shoreline zoning ordinance itself. It's a reference, isn't it? I mean,
No, it's part of the.
It is part of it?
Yeah.
For some reason, someone I didn't get to do that wasn't part of it.
No, without that map as part of the ordinance.
Yep.
Okay,
We can't administer it.
okay.
But, when we went to town meeting, here's the issue with the wetlands, is that we changed from moderate and high value wetlands designated resource protection by Fish and Wildlife as of, what the date was years ago. And we've now put in a new date, correct? So we're gonna have to, at some point, change and that's gonna have to go through, as George said, town meeting.
Okay.
Public hearing and stuff like that.
You won't have that ready by next spring.
I mean, we haven't even discussed it.
So I mean, that's.
We've discussing it, we've never discussed it.
I wanna make sure you get what you're supposed to have, and then get what you would need pursuant to your list. That's what
I think at this point, we probably are, and this is my thinking, the best that we ought to be doing at this point is, I'll put it this way. We need a map that's at least as good as
What you have.
got now
Right.
on the wall, which what they provided us wasn't. These other things about, well, I don't think we have to go to town meeting to remove the wetlands at less than 10 acres on the existing map. But to remove any of the formal resource protection or shoreland areas, that needs to go to town meeting.
No, that's for a future date.
Yeah.
We'll get you what you want.
Here.
Thank you, and what we're properly budgeted for, which is excellent.
Well, I'm pretty sure that you're budgeted for at least what work that you've identified.
We've identified, right?
Now, can I ask you a question?
No.
And I know that it's on in the minutes from last meeting, and I had said, and what I had said, I thought I kind of was summarizing what you told me, that this Sewell agreement was not really like the minutes, and I said this, I said, I got from Dennis that this wasn't really a formal contract.
Well, it is
an agreement.
It's an agreement, but it is a contract. I mean, we signed it, and
We'll fix them, maybe we'll change the because I made the impression that this was not a formal contract, or an agreement that we can hold them to.
it's, yeah, we can hold to it. It's just like the one that you got in 2015. Once you sign it, you pay for it.
So.
And the reason why I pushed her is because we had to get it paid for all of last year's budget. Right? So that's why I had to get an invoice before the end of December last year.
And so this round of work is gonna remove, from resource protection, the wetlands, that Inland Fish and Wildlife identified as, of low value, but were previously moderate or high.
While we read it again.
Well, no,
Was he-
what I'm thinking, you know, George, he's on this point about, and I think you're probably right, that even though the text of the ordinance said you're removing, you know, you're using the new wetlands ratings, which I don't know how many, was it 4 of them, whatever. We didn't bring that to town meeting as a proposed change to the map. So anything that we produce on this new map that is different districting really needs to have town meeting approval. So
Even,
what we really need to do is, I think, perhaps the best that we can ask them to do at this point, is to give us that map that they told us they'd do with that contract, and leave it at that for right now.
not use the other 6 areas, not even, well, we're not gonna enter into that until next year anyhow, because we haven't got the money for it. So all I wanted to do was give us the map that we thought we were gonna
I
get.
think if we change districting now, that we're changing the ordinance by edict rather than by town meeting.
Well,
Right.
So we really need to push them on that number 4.
but let me ask, you spelled it out in text, right?
We did,
So why would you have to have the map to go along with that text? I'm not following that.
because the map,
If you spell it out in text, why would you need to go to town meeting with the map? All the map is gonna do is,
Well, the map is part of the
I
ordinance,
get
so
that.
then you got
And
one
people need
part
to
of the
see
text of the map, of the ordinance in conflict with the map, which is also part of the ordinance.
no, I'm assuming that the map will be in alignment with the text once you get it, right? And that,
oh yeah, we would check it, but we went to town meeting saying we're gonna simply adopt the wetlands official wildlife rated as of 2018.
okay.
But we never told anybody what that was. So I don't think, nobody in town, except for a few of us on the planning board that may have seen the map that
Mary,
Keel Kemper.
Yes.
Nobody knew what those changes were except us. And so I think to change the map districting now, that needs to come under the next step.
I'll tell you what, I'll get you item 4 in the map as it's supposed to be in this contract.
Yeah.
That's
We
all I'll do.
essentially need a map that looks like Gary's, except better, not
It's
better,
a, it's a, I got it.
and one that has the software that can reproduce it.
One that you can read.
Exactly.
So if you can get number 4 out of them, that's all I think they would need to do to comply with that agreement.
Well, they have to give us 2
Number 4
copies in the.
Yeah.
the
Yep.
PDF.
I'm trying to think ahead though, how we're ever gonna finish this process here. We're not gonna have enough money to do the other remaining items that need to be included in the map for us to say that shoreline zoning has been updated and completed in 2019. We're gonna just have $2,500, which is only gonna get us to where we thought we were.
No,
No, I don't think so.
no,
We're still talking about the old contract right now with number 4.
what I'm hearing Richard say is that you wanna get the map that you thought you were gonna get under that agreement, which would include item 4 that Rick was talking about. We get that.
Okay.
That's what you want now. The $2,500 I put in would cover items 1 through 6, excluding 4.
Okay, so that would be enough for us to bring a completed map to the voters in
The fall of 2019.
November 2019.
That's
If everything works out.
Oh, okay, all right. I misunderstood.
We'll find out a little bit more tomorrow and probably next week.
Because it sounded like we're talking 2020, which is, starting to get kind of
I'm not talking
ridiculous.
2020 because some of that's
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Really appreciate it. And thank you both for waiting as we got through that. Really appreciate that too. You want to guide us through the next 2 applications?
What if I haven't?
Okay.
We're gonna hold off on the minutes.
Yeah, do you mind if we do minutes afterwards? I didn't say that before. We'll do the minutes after we do the applications.
So the first application on your agenda is Adam Gardner, G&L Contracting. The owner is 8 Cubes Capital, and it's 16 Tabor Lane, map 18 lot 4. Gotta refamiliarize myself with the one.
Where is Tabor?
Just Foster Point.
Foster Point.
Okay.
We did some work there last winter, last November. We took the roof off, redid the roof, took the decks off, moved the decks to the side, put a screen porch or a sunroom with all windows.
Yeah.
So what we left was there's a loft area that's finished, which is 259 square feet.
Yep.
We want to take that out, wall that off, pull the carpet and everything out of there, and then make that a master bed and bathroom behind the structure itself. So it's 16 by 16. We'll lose like 2 or 3 square feet. Main reason for it now is I believe the new ordinances when they go in won't let us expand by or move rate square footage like that.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
We can't go up because we're almost, I don't know, I think 19 feet or 18 feet or something like that right now. So it'd just be on the driveway side, we come back to 16 by 16 and then wall off the loft space. There's carpet in there, pull the carpet out, get rid of the stairs, or there's a ladder, get rid of the ladder.
Okay. So just to be clear, we're still operating with the old shoreland zoning ordinance, right? Because we have not yet heard from DEP either way.
Right.
So we are assuming that the new one, which the voters approve, will go into effect after the period which we think coincides with the end of calendar year. So until such time, decisions are made based on the old ordinance. Are we all under the same agreement?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have any choice in that.
Right. Just want to make sure to set expectations for today.
Right.
Okay. Right, we have no choice in the matter. Okay. So the present structure, 13, 17. How far away from the water is that?
The building itself, 1 feet, should be a survey map in there. On one of those,
Do you have a bigger version of the
Now,
2 by 2?
bro, I didn't bring one. I know there's one in the file from last November.
I just thought maybe that would show what the distances from the lake are.
Yeah, so the back of that structure, the 16 by 16, will probably be about 90 feet. So it'll all be within the 100 feet. The 100 feet behind it's like 22 feet or something behind the structure.
One question about the drawing, Adam, this is not one that you got today, but this one.
That is.
It says addition on here,
That's
that's not
old
what we're
permit.
talking about, right?
At the top left says existing. That's what
Yeah, it
that's
says
what we have
existing
right
here,
now.
but
Yeah.
I just
No,
wanna make
sorry.
sure this
Yeah,
addition.
that was the addition we did last.
they already did that.
Last November.
Okay, so that part should be crossed out,
Yeah, I can do that on that one
They already did
initially.
that.
so that's crossed out on the original.
You got the original?
I don't have it.
Yes.
Cross that out.
So square feet. So we're still talking square feet. Now, am I reading this right? The footprint area on the proposed structure has a total of 1,573 square feet?
It would if we take up that the 280, 259, put it outside. Because we're increasing the footprint area of the structure. We're just taking the square foot from inside and moving it outside.
Right, so there's no change there.
Right. there's really no change, the only thing that allows us is we're over the 1,500 square feet allowed, but we're taking existing square footage and putting it outside and getting rid of the interior
And
square
moving
footage.
it, they're moving it, so there's no net increase.
So square footage will stay, square footage decreases by 2 square feet. The footprint increases by 257 square feet.
Addition is no closer to the lake than the existing building.
No, it's on the furthest away from the lake we can be.
It's on the other side.
It's on the driveway
One
side.
picture shows the lake going down at an angle, and it's not clear that,
It's kind of like a little cove there.
So this is what we already have, so this is actually, and it's 25 feet.
oh,
No, this is, this is existing,
alright,
so that's why I labeled it as
Ah,
that. This is
that's
the
what-
old one, the small map that I thought was, had large.
Yeah, no,
This is your lake, and that's where, so I can close up, get you a larger copy if you want. I thought it was larger than something, but.
So are we clear that this addition is the existing addition?
yeah, he just crossed it off on the.
Yeah, I did,
original.
right, yeah, that's why that says.
Yeah,
existing.
Right,
Just so you had an idea of what it was, and this is actually from Andy Dunbar, that is his square footage. I didn't actually go measure the table what he had up there, so I think it's actually more than that, but I'm gonna go by what we've had for a track record.
Mhm.
So this goes away.
Yeah,
That's already there. This goes
and
away.
this goes away too, according to this drawing.
Is it just the loft that's going away?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not the
It just-
decks on the outside, it's just the loft?
Yeah, it's just the loft.
None of that's
It's a
thrown
loft
away.
with, like-
That's all staying.
4 beds in it or something. So we're removing the loft, walling that off, leaving the inside right now. I think what's gonna end up down the road, like a phase 3, is we'll gut the inside and do new pine and make all cathedral.
See, this map, this one right here is what's confusing them. This was the original that you did last November, correct? You removed this
Yeah,
and put an addition on.
right, this is the only thing we're adding.
Yeah, but this isn't being removed right now.
Correct, yeah,
So this is what's confusing.
this was removed.
This was already done.
Previously.
This was the existing part. So now the second part that they're doing is from inside the house,
Right.
taking the loft away, gaining that 259 square feet, and putting it further away from the lake.
Correct.
So this is
This
this is the outside wall of the building?
No,
No,
that's already
finished
gone. That's gone from the previous.
Oh,
Yeah,
That
I
shouldn't
honestly
be
didn't
there.
even
oh,
look at that.
oh, okay, so that's not part of this proposal?
No.
This is the same map, this is the same drawing that they used, but they just added the.
Oh, okay.
Right, we just took the old one that we had and just,
Yeah.
I said, hey, let's quickly do this, so we had an idea, if we could say, here's what we're
Okay,
looking to add,
Right.
would be, you looking from the driveway side here.
yeah, because that is shown as being removed on the other drawing as well, the one that he originally done.
Right, yeah, this is the actual, existing,
So the
what you
cha-
have now, so you have an idea what we're gonna go for, so.
Okay.
The house, everything's gonna be the same, we're just gonna get rid of the loft and put a master bedroom on the
so loft goes from inside and goes first floor outside.
They're just gonna get walled off,
Here and there, right?
closed off, ladder removed, and floor and everything pulled out. Until they wanna rip out that collar ties and go cathedral in there, I don't know what else to do with it,
Right,
so.
right, okay. So based on our current ordinance that we have in front of us, do we have any issues with what they're doing relative to what's being proposed? I mean, I don't see any.
There's no issues with regard to adding a bathroom or
That on the foundation or slab?
Techno posts. So we'll do the same, we'll put probably 4 techno posts in. Maybe 6 on the backside, We'll excavate out a little bit of material, just try to keep it the same level, but probably be a foot maybe. So it does go uphill there just a little bit towards the driveway. Just cause it's only like 7 foot, 3 walls or something, so if I step it up, you're gonna have a 6 foot wall.
One thing that ought to be amended on the application, I think, is, number 6. It says present number of bedrooms 3, bedrooms to be added under this application 3.
Should say 0. 0, yeah.
Not that I think you're adding 3 bedrooms
No,
at that
right.
rate.
No, it's not.
So, to be clear, there is if I'm seeing this correctly, the present structure has a certain amount of floor area and in square foot, or, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Is it going down, Adam?
The square footage is gonna decrease by 2
Like
square
2
feet.
feet.
Yeah.
From,
The footprint's gonna increase by 257.
okay,
It's essentially just like taking the second floor out of a place and putting it on the first floor.
yeah.
It's just we're gonna close off access and remove, carpet and everything that's up in there, just leave it.
So does anybody have any problems with this? I'm looking at page 9 where it talks about expansions and we're saying shall not exceed 1,500 square feet.
It's not an expansion, it's the same size as what he's got now. He's eliminating the upper floor and putting it
Yep,
on the ground.
first floor. Okay. Are we good? Any other questions for the applicant? Do you have any questions for us?
I guess the only thing would be is what do you wanna see there? Do you want completely walled off, no access whatsoever?
To the wall.
The only reason I ask if there's ever an issue to get into there for electrical or anything like that down the road. Would we be able to have access to it? If not, then at that point, we had the issue, cut a hole.
I don't think there's an issue having access, it's no different than having an attic.
Right.
As long as there's not a regular access.
As long as
like
it's not
a
living
ladder or-
space.
Still do like a door that's like screwed off or
Yeah,
something,
It's just,
no ladder, and
just like
does
an
that
attic.
work?
Yeah.
That'd be fine.
That would be fun.
Just so we're clear on it, I
It's
don't.
no different than having it in your knee walls and stuff.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So I would entertain a motion on this then.
I'll make a motion to approve the application with the condition that, stormwater from the roof, be addressed with, best management practices for stormwater.
Okay.
So good.
So we have a motion with a condition. Any other discussion on this? No. All those in favor? 5 in favor, none opposed. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, hey Doug,
How are you?
good, thanks.
Good.
Thanks for coming in. Gary, what do we have?
This is application number 84-18, it's map 16 lot 5. Doug Frame is the applicant for Pete Ferris. And it is 686 Horse Point Road on Great Pond. If you remember correctly, Doug came in previously and wanted to expand this deck along the front equal to the stairs. What they've decided was to put a deck on the side of the house that goes no closer than the existing front wall of the house.
I figured it'd be back.
It was, someone suggested, I think it was Craig, but, we've had some good things happen on site. We haven't had to do any excavation. We found out that under under the screen porch, we thought we were gonna have to put a frost wall, which is on the lake side, and lifting them out of disturbance. It was actually a frost wall there.
Oh, good.
So there was no excavation there, and we decided to do helical piles, techno metal posts on the back, so we've actually had no excavation whatsoever on site. And at your suggestion, the deck we proposed to be 18 by 18 off the side, and the stairs are about 8 feet. The current stairs were 8 feet closer to the lake than the house. The stairs that come off the new deck will probably be 2 feet, and maybe not even past the 85, depending on the slope, because the slope actually goes up, so we might, the run is a little bit less. So it'll be an improvement as far as proximity to the water from what we have currently.
Seems pretty straightforward, actually. So then the front of that proposed deck is just flush with the front of that house,
Yep.
right?
Completely flush.
And the stairs, the new stairs are about 6 feet back from where they are now, right?
And maybe more.
Maybe more.
Because if you're looking at the drawing,
At least
the
that.
top left of that deck,
Yep.
the slope, the grade comes up on that side.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So the amount of steps we would need would be decreased.
Yep.
And we obviously don't need a platform. There's currently a 6-foot by 4-foot platform coming out of the house.
Mhm.
We wouldn't need that. We'd be using the back portion of the deck.
For your land.
So we can't get accurate measurements right now because of the slope, but pretty confident that the steps will even go past the existing front edge of the house.
Got it. Okay.
And we could do helical piles there as well, so it'd be almost no disturbance.
This is well under the square footage limitation.
What are you saying, Rich? I'm sorry.
I'm saying that you add the square footage, it's less than 100 feet from the water. It's not an issue.
Okay. What questions do we have, or what concerns do we have?
Involve any tree removal?
None.
That was my question.
It's a good one.
We kind of already said he could do it the last time we already did all this.
Yeah, this is exactly what we talked about, as I recall.
Thank you for that suggestion.
Well, if there are no concerns, I would entertain a motion on this.
Make a motion, we accept permit, 8418 as submitted.
Second.
Any more discussion? Richard, I thought you might want to say something, I'm not sure what. No?
I wasn't planning. on it.
No, okay.
I was gonna make a motion to accept the application.
Maybe that was all.
Quickness.
Yeah. I saw the gears were turning, so I thought something's gonna happen. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on this matter? Any questions for us, Doug?
Nope.
Anything for the applicant? In that case, all in favor? 5 opposed, 5 in favor, none opposed. Sorry, didn't mean to say
We all
that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Vicky, you go down and do grab a check. Okay. Let me tell you that front. Thanks.
Thanks,
Take
have a
care,
good
see you
night.
later.
Right on.
All right, Doug.
It'll be a quick night.
Yeah, which is kinda nice. Are you okay?
That doesn't sound good.
It sounded like workman's comp.
Something's gonna require stitches, or it's gonna leave a mark, or something.
Quick, get a knife, draw blood.
So while we can, the next order of business we have is the minutes, even though it says, what the heck is it?
Yeah, agenda's wrong.
So the minutes from November 15.
In the
Do you-
first line,
We-
instead of will, gonna be was.
So, yeah, we'll wait for Nick to come back, but does everybody have a copy of the minutes from the 15th?
I don't.
Thank you, sir.
Want a copy?
Do you have one?
Yeah, that's right.
And we had no conditions. There was no roof on this one, so. I don't remember any conditions, but maybe
No,
this is
there wasn't
standard.
any.
So, this is just a building permit.
No, there's no excavation, there's.
Very straightforward. Thanks, Nate. No problem. Okay. Okay. Okay, has everybody had a chance to go over the minutes? What edits
No.
do we have?
Agenda.
I'm sorry. Yeah, they are minutes. Yeah, number one would be,
First line, net meeting was called to order, not will be. May wanna add a line after that too, as to who was here.
anything else, Roger,
So
from
I
your
found-
end? Craig, anything?
Nope, I wasn't here.
Oh, that's right, you weren't here. George?
Under old business, number one, I guess I would add shoreline zoning in front of mapping. And I would spell out specs to specifications for company after school. And then, 1, 2, 3, 4 lines down, I would replace the word something with, a cost estimate. Two more lines down, and the line that starts, members also agreed. About 2/3 of the way over, direct conversations. I would replace, from the, with between. two with and, so that it reads between them and Sewell. And then, under other, rather than, the first line, rather than septic implementation, which sounds like we're dealing with an infection, I would eliminate the word septic, and then at the end of that line, I would add, after implementation of the septic system inspection requirement in the new shoreline zoning ordinance. So at the end of the line, add of the septic system inspection requirement in the new shoreline zoning ordinance. Okay. And then next line down, at the end of the sentence, which is one word before the end, I would add another sentence, something along the lines of, because one of the other things we discussed was the possibility of having like a fact sheet or some kind of information sheet that realtors could use as a handout. So I would suggest adding there, just for completeness. He also suggested a possible fact sheet. I'll give you this, Rick. He also suggested a possible fact sheet realtors could hand out to property buyers.
Thank you. Rich?
I've got two things. One, let's go to the little simple one first. Fifth line down on old business. So there also needs to be better discussion between all entities that the word are involved. The other one I've got is, Nick is correct. I did say that I was told the agreement was not a contract, so we can't hold school accountable. But apparently that's not the case. I don't know how you do that. I said it, that was what was at the meeting, but I found out tonight that Jenny thinks we can hold them, which is kind of contrary to what I kind of gathered in speaking with them before.
Maybe I would suggest that what Nick captured was accurate for what transpired, but in the minutes tonight, what we would do is we say we've corrected that notion, and so now there's a more complete understanding of what that agreement was.
So based, I'm confused, because based on that, we paid them to correct our map, and they botched it, basically. That money's just gone, and we're gonna pay them again?
I think what Denny is saying tonight is he's gonna talk to Mary up there at school.
Okay,
And if we get the number 4 taken care of,
okay.
well, more than number 4, the contract called for, what the heck is the word, conversion or whatever.
Yep.
We're still looking for that.
Okay.
But at least I hope he's,
Yes.
we're looking for implementation of that contract.
Okay,
And
because it just doesn't seem like we got what we paid for.
we did.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
But if we get what we paid for, we don't pay, supposedly, we're not gonna pay him anything more.
Exactly.
And this $2,500 that Dennis was talking about for upgrading.
In the future.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
We'll see how.
Which they said is only 2,200,
Right.
which I already quoted as 2,200.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
He had a little buffer, which I think is good.
Yep.
But, okay. So for these minutes, are there any other edits or revisions that need to occur? Gone around. So,
Motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Of November 15th.
Okay. So we got a motion and seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor? 4 in favor, you can't because you weren't here, I think,
No,
right?
not-
So, yeah, but, so 4 in favor, 1, abstention. Yeah. He's here, but he
absent
could,
at the time.
yeah. Previously abstention or something. Thank you. Okay. So based on the minutes from the 15th, one of the things we said was the board wanted to think more about how to implement the septic requirements. Do we want to talk about that tonight at all, or is there a will or a desire to do that? Because we don't have to necessarily, but I didn't know if there was.
I think we ought to wait until we have real estate brokers here, see how they feel about it.
We could. I think always doing our homework first, knowing what we want to present to them is always a good idea, in my opinion.
What's written in the ordinance, so what if we just notify them there's been an ordinance change via email or something?
There's only
So-
three realtors.
There's only
realtors.
3 here, but there's a lot more that do business here.
Exactly,
So we
no,
need to
I know.
kind of get the whole, I mean, is there a central realtor?
Can we put it on our website? Nick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
website, Facebook and website, yeah. And still maybe email it, but isn't there a central, I mean, because in reality, like, all of them in the state need to,
Maine Association of Realtors.
and email them.
Yep.
And, I mean, just having a meeting for 3 realtors,
No,
companies isn't
Right.
gonna really do the
We
job. What's that mean?
Maine Association of Realtors.
So they can post it on their website.
Yeah.
And all the realtors will get it statewide.
And was there anything that we did unique relative to this topic? Was that unique somehow that other towns wouldn't have done? I mean, because what we did was bring ours up to state guidelines, which
Well, not in this regard.
We did a little more.
Yeah, this
We did a
this
little-
goes beyond the guidelines.
what we did
There are
is
other
unique.
towns that have done this previously, particularly along the coast,
Mhm.
and some inland towns on lakes.
China.
But China, there's some in the Sebago Lake area too.
Yeah.
But you may recall, there was legislation to do this on shoreland zones that weren't coastal, because in the coast, it's already required. It got vetoed by the governor. The veto wasn't overridden. So, Rome probably doesn't have it, that kind of thing,
Sydney
so,
doesn't have it.
but,
So this would be
so.
good information for any realtor who might be doing business in Belgrade.
Yeah. I was thinking about this, when you just drive around town and you see the realtor sign, there's only half a dozen realtors that seem to do business in Belgrade. What I don't know is how much transpires, without a sign on the side of the road.
Or you have co-brokers.
Yeah, right,
Right.
where some Portland firm is,
Representing a buyer.
yeah, representing, right, exactly, and their name's never, really publicly visible.
Mhm.
And they have these new for sale by whatever websites too, that
Mhm.
a lot of times signs don't get put up.
I mean, obviously, increasingly, Augusta realtors in particular, you see in this part of town.
Augusta, Winslow, Waterville, Oakland, all those Caldwell bankers are all from different spots. Winslow, Oakland, Waterville, Augusta.
Skowhegan, I've seen them
Skowhegan.
in Skowhegan.
So
So
that's why I'm
we'll do
thinking.
something
maybe
on that site.
Just so they all get it, and
Yeah.
ask them to send it out to.
I just don't know, like I don't know that much about the Maine Association of Realtors in terms of how cooperative they would be, if you will, in that regard, versus we may still need to do a direct email to at least the realtors that we know have, physical presence in Belgrade, not just the 3 that
We can do that.
but
And the thing that we wanna tell them, I guess I have a recommendation, is specifically what we did with our ordinance. And I would recommend we quote some of that stuff. If we can't, if that's too lengthy, then at least something that summarizes it or points to it or something.
Well, I'd be happy to draft something up for everybody to look at, and then Nick could just copy and paste it into an email.
You want, yeah?
Yeah, that'd be great, I mean, if you don't
I mean,
mind,
it wouldn't take much.
right,
Just quote the section of the ordinance?
Yeah, and just say a few words about it and a link to the website.
yeah,
The other part of that is, it's really a matter of how far you wanna go, and, you know, the easier you make it for the I'm mostly sensitive to the ones right here in town.
Right.
first. The easier you can make it for them, and, you know, I don't know how much turnover there are with realtors myself, frankly, but, you know, that's oftentimes an issue in businesses, so you know, one person gets familiar with a subject and somebody new comes in and they have no clue, is the idea that I mentioned last time of having, some kind of handout so that you don't put the burden on them to be the educator, you know, that you have they can just, the town produce a handout that we provide the realtors, they just give it to people, and then, you know, the burden falls back on the town.
right, they become a disseminator rather than an
Yeah,
educator.
so it makes it easier for them, but that would be more work for us.
It's not very complicated though, that part of the ordinance.
No, it's not very complicated.
So, I don't,
You don't think it's necessary?
I mean, it needs to be inspected, if it fails, it needs to be fixed before it's sold.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
pretty basic, I mean,
Well,
just
and-
check the website.
Well said, yeah,
And the main association of realtors actually was in favor of this statewide anyway, so
right.
maybe they've heard about it, you know, the idea
Sure.
from other sources.
Yeah.
I mean, frankly, the first time I ever heard of the idea was from a realtor here in town.
Oh, I'm finding that it's more common anyway, because the lending institutes,
Yeah, they wanna make sure that,
they want it done.
The only thing
Text.
is, how to police that, I mean, how do we know when sales go on? and
There's
how-
gonna be some that fall through the cracks, I can show you.
Yeah, you just gotta hope for the best, you know, I mean, it really is kind of voluntary until something goes to hell in a handbasket.
There's
Right.
gonna be some that we miss.
Yeah.
We know
I mean, the worst case scenario is gonna be the situation where there's been a sale and the neighbor complains, you know, a couple months later to you, Gary, because the septic system's failing,
Right.
but.
yeah,
If you wanted to send this email out to, you know, I'm not saying the Maine Association of Realtors isn't a good thing, it is. But this association is also, I don't know if it's formally related to the association, but there's district areas. I used to go give shoreline and zoning talks to the group down at, Hoothbay Harbor area.
Yeah.
Mid-coast area. And then there was Gail Rizzo had me do one for the association associated with probably Canada County or something like that.
Central Maine.
We could find out,
Mm,
you know,
sure,
who the local one is, and send it to them too, so you're hitting a more direct target.
that'd be
Even
good.
though it's, you know, I know it's outside of Belgrade, it's not covering the whole state, but it's a concentrated area around there.
Yep, it's a great idea. Then Nick, on the either Facebook or on the town's webpage, would that be like an announcement, are you thinking? Or what would it be?
Either announcements or I can post it right at the top of the page.
Yeah, I defer to you, whatever you think is best for, think about it like, oh, if I'm either an interested seller, buyer, or real estate person going to the town's webpage, where would I find this information? So, thinking about it that way.
I can put it in multiple spots too.
Yeah. Okay, alright, good. I'm thinking what gets drafted will be the basis not only for the email that goes out, but the heart of it would be what could be posted. Alright, thanks.
So I can put something together and send it to you, Nick, to put on the agenda for the next meeting.
It'd be great, yeah. Thank you.
Might not be much.
It's like what Craig said.
Yeah.
With a hyperlink.
I think a lot of that will automatically be covered with banks that require home inspection anyway.
Well, a lot of it, yeah, that's
A
what
lot
I'm
of
saying.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I know it. I know. May not be perfect, but it should be pretty good. Really.
Although, you know, it's not that way in a lot of places in the country. My sister and her husband bought a pretty big damn house in Fredericksburg, Virginia, so Northern Virginia. And they didn't think of it because they're used to being on town sewer, and so they didn't have their septic system inspected.
Oh,
Bank
no.
didn't require it. Nobody, you know, the realtors didn't say boo,
And then it
and
failed.
it failed 6 months later.
Oh my gosh. Wow. What a bummer.
And pretty crappy soils down there too.
No pun intended, but right.
Right.
Not inexpensive land either. Or property.
Not there, no.
Gary, what's new that you care to share?
Nothing,
Nothing? Anything going on?
kinda quiet right now.
Is it? Wicked. So we don't have a huge amount of stuff coming in that you
We have nothing.
anticipate?
Kennebec put up the silt fencing? Boat repair?
I think so. It was supposed to.
I know they put it down, hay mulch, cause I saw that.
Yeah. I think they did.
And let's see, just driving around town. Is that over at the Beckett property? Did that get done?
I'm working on it.
They are working on it.
R&R Auto is open.
Yep.
Oh, they're open?
Yep.
Oh,
Well, they just started to be open, yeah.
Craig, do you know if they drove
It's
that
coming in tomorrow.
tomorrow?
Oh,
the
the
neighbors well.
well. Picked a fun day to do it, right?
Well, supposedly it's tomorrow. He said Wednesday to Friday, so.
There's no frost. There is none.
Yeah. Not yet, but it's gonna be single digits tonight, won't it?
It don't matter. There's no frost.
Oh, you mean in the ground?
I'm building my camp and my road went to shit. I had to have David Stevens over there all day on gravel because it was just a mess.
Yeah.
Rutted.
Bummer.
Yeah. Yep.
My tree stand wasn't frozen in the ground.
No. Friend of mine's a woodcutter. He said,
Nothing.
my skidder tires are sinking 2 feet in the mud. I can't work.
Jeez, really?
Until the ground freezes. Can't work.
We need some sustained cold.
Hopefully this week and a half of it will.
Probably
It's gonna take more than a night.
Yeah. I saw Mesalonsky was frozen over this morning when I went to work.
Great Pond is too pretty much,
Completely?
almost.
Almost. Yeah, I knew it was getting there.
They've been
A
ice
lot of it
fishing
buttoned
on.
up last night.
They've been ice fishing on North Pond, haven't they?
North, east, Thanksgiving Day, was it?
Yeah.
The day after Thanksgiving, or the day before Thanksgiving, someone was fishing on East Pond.
Are they alive to tell the tale?
You know, they park at the road there and walk out to that point.
Once it's locked in,
Fish up there.
once it's locked up and the wind can't
Yeah,
break it out.
Yeah.
I bet there's probably 8 inches on North Pond by the looks of it.
Yeah.
I was up there today, it was all white, and there was people laying out in the middle.
Really? Wow, I never would have guessed that.
Yeah,
Not
Salmon
on a-
Lake,
not on a
Salmon
bigger
Lake
pond.
must be locked right in.
Must be, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
No.
Even before they all caught up. I used to think that, we had to wait till January 1st, so I don't remain on them. No trout left in there, first day, of what I thought was ice fishing, so I've been fishing on here for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you can.
Yeah.
They changed the ratings of some of the ponds too. Cause they ran on Class D and whatever, and whatever the rating is, allows you to be there earlier. Like East Pond and McGraw Pond and North Pond are all rated like a Class D or E or whatever it is. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but you can, as soon as there's ice, you can be out there fishing.
Yeah, and you can keep the fish you catch, right?
Not 100% sure, I would think so.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, so nothing else left to do for us tonight?
The life of a shot.
Yeah, I know it. Well,
Just eat supper.
yeah.
Eat supper.
Well, we can call it for tonight.